Yo, my people, happy Monday to you guys. Hope you guys have a good, enjoyable week. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel for Chelsea content. And it's been a mad 12 to 24 hours. Graham Potter is no longer the Chelsea manager. He's been sacked. There was things saying that it's by mutual consent. It's a lie. He's been sacked. The board have sacked him. The results are not good enough. They say it's down to the fact that we're in the bottom half of the table. And now we have, what's his name? Bruno Souter will take charge as the interim manager until we find a permanent manager. Guys like Julian Nagelsmann, Luis Enrique, and Pochettino and Zidane, they are all on the list due to them being free agents, and they could potentially be our next manager. So we have to wait and see. Julian Nagelsmann, he's recently been sacked by Bayern Munich, so I don't necessarily know if they have to pay something to Bayern Munich. That could be the case. I'm not 100% sure, but nonetheless, Graham Potter has been sacked after he signed a 5-year deal, and he's going to get paid out. He's going to get bankrolls. There's been talks, apparently he's not going to take the full money, but for me, he should take everything. Like, he could be entitled to 60 million. Chelsea bought him out for 20 mil from Brighton, and now signed him on a 12 million a year deal, on a 5-year deal. Could add up to 60 million that he could get paid out for. He most likely won't get all of that because he's such a kind person, and I feel very sorry for Graham Potter because to be able to develop the team to a certain way, it was going to take much longer than 6 months. And when we have to factor in that he's never been a manager that's managed a big team, a manager that's never even, before the season, never went to a Champions League game, let alone coached a Champions League game, to give him a squad of about 25 players, signed him after one transfer window, we signed about 15 man, then in the next one, we signed at least 10 players. For him to integrate all of that, bearing in mind there was a World Cup mid-season as well, so many different injuries. Like, fam, it is peak for him. He was really set up to fail by the board, in my opinion. He was set up to fail because we all knew that coming into this job, he was no Thomas Tuchel. He was nowhere near close. That's why for me, I was going to give him a couple of years to prove himself, because for me, to hear the board talk about a project to change the culture and whatnot, I'm all there for it, to see a different Chelsea. But as we know, based on the decision that was made, we are not going to change. Project does not exist at Chelsea Football Club. It's winning. We are like for me, I was fooled to think that we could potentially change and maybe become better. Like, I'm not even trying to say that. Obviously, I say that we could become better because there's so many people I look at, whether that's like a Man City or like a Liverpool or like Arsenal, whose managers were there for 2+ years before they could win a trophy. That's what I look at. Chelsea managers don't necessarily get given that much time on a rare occasion, and that's, for me, is the big thing that I don't really like. Even though we can win a Champions League now and again, we can win a cup competition now and again, but the identity, like 10 years ago, we was a team that was competing year in, year out for the biggest trophies. Now, for the last 5 years, we can't. Not consistently. It's impossible due to how the structure was under Abramovich, sacking managers, bad recruitment policies, because the players we could have signed back in the early days of the Abramovich's era compared to now, it's actually just so mad. And it's just down to how the club have made everything go, like Abramovich and that. So it is peak. Like, I feel for Graham Potter, but am I going to say that it was the wrong decision to sack him? I'm not going to say it was the wrong decision, because, as I said, he's nowhere near the manager right now that he could have been to take us to highest levels, even though I would have hoped that he would. But if we're going to be actually factual on this, it wasn't going to be, especially anytime soon. So that's just my bad. There's bad people out here that will be telling me, oh yes, I told you this, I told you that. And that's fine, because we're clearly under the same, even though there's new owners, the ownership at Chelsea is different, but the rules are still the same. All that matters is success. We are getting told that it was just the fact that we're in the bottom half of the table. Chelsea have been 10th for about 5 to 6 game weeks now. We've moved one position down. We are a team that shouldn't accept that. We are a team that should be minimum in the top 6, and other than the last time, other than the fact when Thomas Tuchel was sacked, we've been moving further and further behind, which doesn't make sense. For me, a lot of this is just down to the consequences of sacking Thomas Tuchel, because if we're going to be honest, we never should have sacked him. We never should have. Because now we're trying to get a manager that's on his level. And personally speaking, I don't necessarily believe or know full well if the manager that we're going to get, whoever it is that's next, can be like Thomas Tuchel. The only way I'm going to believe that is when we win a trophy. Because that's all that matters, winning. Nothing else matters. And on top of that, how long will we win for? There's so many seasons where one season we could win a Champions League or win a Premier League and then do below par the next season. That's not good enough. That is not good enough. And a lot of the time it's down to using the same players for a numerous amount of years who do nothing. Who do basically nothing for us. 2 years, yeah, in our team, we can't count on anyone to score 15 goals in all competitions. 15 goals in all competitions. We're not talking about scoring 15 goals in the Premier League or 15 goals in the Champions League or in the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup. We're talking about 15 with all 4 of those competitions combined. That is weak. That is poor. We can't count on one person to do that. That just goes to show you the level of the team that we have right now. It's just not good enough, especially in the attack. The attack is the one area that lets us down the majority of the time. Because the defense more time, because the manager is decent. And at the minimum it's decent. Midfield, sure, we might have to make new signings and whatnot. Sure, there's injuries, yes. But the attack, that's the one consistent thing for numerous amount of years that lets us down. And it's just wrong. Because these men will continuously get chance after chance after chance with new managers. The Kai Havertzes, the Christian Pulisic, the Hakim Ziyech, guys that have been at this club for a numerous amount of years. And what's it for? Just to say we won a Champions League? That's all nice and that. But we need more consistency. No one in the attack force is consistent enough. They're not consistent enough. And until you do that, because as the saying goes, defense wins you titles, but attack wins you games. We don't have a strong enough defense right now to challenge for all titles, and we're even moving. And unless Thiago Silva comes back, the chance of us going through against Real Madrid are very slim, because they are the champions of Europe, and they know that with their team they can rely upon numerous amount of world-class players. We don't have that. We don't have the same amount, and that's just the thing. When you look at back in the day, the Drogba's of the world, the Lampards of the world, Terry's, all these men are leaders. We don't have this enough in the team, and that's the reason why. It's just the reason why the structure just dips so much. One minute we could be high, then we move low, because there's no consistency. We don't have guys that can do the same thing year in, year out, and that's where we mess up. The recruitment's not been great, and a lot of the scattergun approach, it hinders us so much, and the manager is always going to be the one that has to pay for it. He doesn't have to pay for it. So for me, I just really hope that the next manager that comes in, whether that's Nagelsmann, who is the most likely candidate, please come in and win us a Champions League. Or next season, If we don't win the Champions League, we're not going to be in European football, so we get one game a week. Help us to win a cup or the Premier League and get us top 4. Because for me, right now, like in the Abramovich era, we never went 2 years without a trophy, and we're not gonna. If we don't win a trophy this season, and we don't win a trophy next season, then boy, it's looking mad. It's looking mad because I really don't understand how all of this makes sense. To sign a man who we know wasn't a great coach in terms of what he could do at the highest level, because he hasn't been there long enough. You give him all of these different circumstances, and 6 months, it's not a long enough time. You've set him up to fail, and that is very unfortunate. Now we're going to have to pay for these consequences. We might not be able to get a manager in before the Real Madrid game, and then we're going to have to do with, who is our manager? Bruno Souter. I'm scared for what this club can become. I hope that we can return to winning ways and we can be successful. But we have to wait and see. As right now, the confidence that man would have had a couple years ago, it's dwindling. Because fam, all these teams that we have to think about that are getting better, the Arsenals of the world, Man Cities, Liverpool, Man United, these are the teams we have to compete against. These man, they're doing well right now, doing way better than us this season. So the aim is to try and catch up with them guys there, and also make us the best team in the world. And that's easier said than done, and it's definitely going to take time. But hopefully we can get there. But nonetheless, the whole situation about Graham Potter, this whole situation never should have been the case, because Graham Potter really never should have been Chelsea manager. Thomas Tuchel should still have been here, but it's how life goes. Decisions are made and you have to live with them. You got to pay for the consequences as well. So everything that has happened, it is a consequence of sacking Thomas Tuchel. That was the biggest mistake that the board have ever made. So let's just see what happens, because all this chat don't mean nothing no more. It's about actions and results, because clearly the board are the same as Abramovich. They just want success and for us to be winning. So let's just see if we can do this. But I'll keep you guys more in touch with the transfer news in terms of who's going to be the new manager. Once we get more information about it, I'll let you guys know. But other than that, these are just my thoughts on the Graham Potter situation, the outlook on Chelsea. So you guys let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. Like, share and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat and Facebook for more Chelsea content. I'm CFC Redis Blue, and I'm out. Peace.